welcome to Flow with the Funk. My name is Michelle, aka Flo, aka the Funky Celebrant. This is a podcast aimed at anyone and everyone interested in love, ceremony and celebration. I don't care if you're half of or a whole couple looking for inspiration, friends, family or a supplier. This podcast is for you. Hello everybody and welcome back to Flow with the Funk. Today I'm joined by the fabulous Ericka Davis, who is an officiant over in America, and Gwen Rule, who is a celebrant based here in London. And ladies, we're going to talk about weddings and life and anything else that pops up into into our minds today. So I'll start off getting in touch, introduce yourself again for me. I'll start with you, Ericka. Tell me where you are and exactly what.
My name is Ericka Davis. I am a officiant based in Houston, Texas, and Las Vegas, Nevada, here in the United States. Expertise services in weddings. I offer wedding officiant services, ceremony writing, and month of concierge services for couples.
Fabulous. And Gwen, where are you and what do you do?
Well, my name's Gwen Rule, and I run a celebrancy business whereby I conduct funerals and weddings. My wedding business is called Unique Ceremony, and my funeral business is called Celebrate a Life. I've been a celebrant since 2012, and basically I take work whenever it comes to me from overseas, from the UK, and from funeral directors.
Fabulous. So I've obviously introduced two guests to you, Ericka, who's an officiant from America, and Gwen, who's a celebrant from the UK. So Ericka, question to you, what is the difference between an officiant and a celebrant as far as you're concerned over in America?
So from what I have learned, the officiant here, we are able to conduct a celebratory and legal ceremony all in one. I have the honor of being able to unite couples in the most unique ways. And then I am also the person who is responsible for signing their marriage license. Depending on what state I am and the particular rules, I'm either the one that files it or the couple files it from there.
Okay. How much training do you actually need to do the legal side over there?
Not much. It is the signing of the marriage license. Depending on the state or county, you'll need to know how to fill out their form. Here in the United States, 50 states, I am able to perform a ceremony in 22 states without any licensing or contact with their bureaus. In the other states, they require some sort of filing or making sure that you're on record as a minister within their state.
Oh, cool. Right. Aren't you glad we don't have that issue over here, Gwen?
Yeah, gosh, yeah.
Having to go from county to county, registering different ones.
Well, it's state by state, actually. But if you want to work in another county, you kind of want them to get to know you, or they may look at your name like, who is this new person?
Yeah.
You kind of want to establish yourself with everyone out here.
Cool. Because I think when we talk about counties here, it would probably more likely equate to the state for you. So I mean, I live in Essex, which is a county, but for you it'd probably be a state. So yeah.
Okay.
But you've obviously got counties within states, haven't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
yes.
It's much bigger than what we've got.
Cities are in counties, counties are within states, and states are within the United States.
Yeah. Cool. We're having a geography lesson as well. Always useful.
Don't get lost coming to America.
No, when I'm coming to America, I'm coming straight to you. I will not be getting lost. You're putting me up and you're taking me around all the cool
exactly.
So, ladies, the other week I had a conversation with some mainly British-based celebrants. They're all UK celebrants, but one of them was actually based in Spain. And they're all women of colour. And we had a conversation about recent events, basically, and how we think these events are going to have a knock-on effect with the celebrant business, both in weddings and in funerals. Now, obviously, we're very similar but very different creatures in America and the UK. So have you noticed anything different within your own businesses over the last couple of weeks as things are starting to develop? I'll come to you first, Gwen, for that.
No, not really. I haven't seen any difference. I think when people are actually looking for a celebrant in the UK, because there's quite a few of us, we tend to have a conversation, and the relationship is based on whether you click or not with that person at that given time, I guess, is the beginning. And really, I don't think knowing the colour of my skin makes a difference as such at that point, because you're just, basically, they've been to the website, they've seen what you're about, so they know that aspect about you. It's slightly different with funerals, because I'm not sure how much information the funeral director gives the family directly, but certainly with weddings, it's most people know a little bit about you, and so basically it's just about whether you fit their type of what they're looking for with reference to their wedding, and whether they feel comfortable with you, and because there's so many of us out there. And I think it's based on personalities, to be honest, from that stage on.
What about for you, Ericka?
The past few weeks have been monumental here in the United States. We have seen people really draw the lines. Colleagues and people that you have worked with are literally exposing themselves. Old tweets and comments and current comments are starting to show of their racism. That's happening in the wedding industry and everywhere here. We had one officiant here in Texas that first had a racist Twitter comment, then offered 2 apologies. One that was very, for lack of better words, crude on her personal page, that she didn't care what she commented. And on her business page, it was, "Oh, I'm sorry." So it was very contradicting in her 2 posts. She described herself as not being this type of person, yet the comments that she posted were just from December and January. So right now, we're seeing a lot of people show themselves, be exposed. And for me, I'm actually enjoying, no, that's probably the worst word to say. I'm actually liking the experience, because I am seeing people for who they really are. They're not able to hide during this time. It's either you are for this fight or you're against it. There's no really in between at this time. And we're seeing that a lot in the business. It's picking up. The more I voice myself, the more I'm finding out who my right clients and my right tribe is, because I'm attracting them right now.
Yeah. Cool. As an officiant over there, as part of getting your qualifications to become an officiant, did you have to have any equality and diversity training?
No. Everyone is different. Depends on who you're ordained with. The American Marriage Ministries, who I have my ordination with, has strict rules and policies on the type of people that they associate with, the people that are ordained underneath them. And one of the main rules is no discrimination. So if you are an officiant that has shown discrimination, you can have your ordination removed, which then you're not allowed to perform weddings.
Yeah. Okay. Because it's obviously very different over here again, isn't it? I know we've got lots of different training organisations and everybody's trained in a slightly different way. But I know certainly, I think over the last few weeks, the equality and diversity issue has really come to the fore in I think our level of training, don't you think, Gwen?
Oh, most definitely. I think it's an important aspect, to be honest, because certainly with both weddings and funerals, there is a cultural aspect that many people may not be aware of. So it's worth even doing it from that perspective, because certainly when I do black funerals, we have a way of saying goodbye that's not what I would say a white person would do when they have their funerals, not unless they're Irish in origin, because there is some similarity between the Caribbean side of things. Caribbeans do very similar activities to Irish backgrounds. So from that, there's some similarities. But other than that, most people wouldn't know about certain ways that people would want to say goodbye to a loved one at a funeral, for instance, because of that cultural aspect, which is different. And so I think it's worth it from that perspective. But weddings, other than, I mean, I don't know what you have to say about this, Ericka, but certainly the jumping of the broom is certainly not something I would do with everybody. So, you know, it just depends on the families and what their background is, because, you know, going back to the real meaning of behind that ceremony, I'm not sure it would be applicable for everybody. I know that that's not the thought for every celebrant, but that's just my thought process.
Yeah.
Someone just made a post the other day here in America of a couple, not of color, jumping the broom. And
Right.
oh, the comments that were on that post. Of course, for us as Black women, African Americans, jumping the broom is very significant to us, to slavery.
Yes.
It draws a direct correlation to a time where we weren't allowed to get married, where jumping the broom for us was the signification. There was no marriage license. There was no, it's very sentimental to us. But in researching and learning, it has been significant in older cultures.
Yeah.
Right.
So education is number one in anything. I try to, instead of passing judgment, I'm gonna side eye because you're definitely not Black and you're definitely jumping a broom and you look kind of funny doing it. However, there's reasons why you may want to do that. You're not trying to impede on my culture. You have your own culture and your own reasons why you want to do this. And it's me as an officiant to educate myself and respect my couples and their wishes. And if it's something I don't feel comfortable with, then I have to be able to say that. So far, in the 3 years that I've been doing this, I have only turned down one ceremony. And that was because the couple was at a plantation and they did not see anything wrong with asking a Black officiant to perform a ceremony at a plantation, which plantations are more just properties now, huge properties, people rent them, it's still called the whatever plantation.
Right.
And I am not going to post anywhere or tell anyone that I did a ceremony at anyone's plantation. So that was my drawing the line. But as far as unity ceremonies, I'm pretty open.
Yeah. So yeah, I do quite a few jumping the brooms, because it is a pagan ceremony,
right,
as well as obviously the American slaves connotation to it. So I mean, there's only been one time when that has been what I always describe to guests who haven't seen it before, why we're doing it and what the history is behind it. It was only relevant to mention that it was a Black American slave tradition, because the couple that I was doing the ceremony for, she, like me, can trace roots back to the Black American slaves,
right,
in America, and she wanted to honour her ancestors and the route that she'd taken. So that when I gave the history for her guests or their guests, that's the route I took.
Right.
The majority of people, when I give the history, I give the pagan history.
Right. Okay.
So yeah.
Well, you learn something new every day. Thank you, Michelle. I didn't know that it was a pagan ceremony.
Yeah. And so a lot of people do that and the hand fasting.
Yes, I've seen that one.
Yeah, because they are both. And if you go into any culture, there's the threshold, isn't there? Be it a broom, be it a ribbon, be it something else. There is the threshold that people want to cross from their old life into their new life.
You also have to
how they do it.
Consider that, just like you said, and I never thought of it that way, is that the slavery issue was here in America. There's a whole world outside of here. So what's sensitive to us here in America may not be sensitive to someone outside of our country. So when we see it somewhere else, it may not be here in America that this picture was taken. It could be over there where you're expressing and teaching something else that we don't even know about. And I am looking to do more research on this pagan and incorporate it more with my couples and explain that to them. I love that, Michelle. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, there's a massive slavery issue over here, which is why part of this conversation has kind of started with us in the UK, with the tearing down of the statue in Bristol.
Yes.
And there's a whole argument going on with that one, and several other statues. And the fact that they say, I had somebody comment on my Facebook post saying, because I compared tearing down that statue of Colston to tearing down the statue of Saddam Hussein. I said, what's the difference? We celebrated one, but we're not celebrating the other. And both men, glorified in living off other people's misery. And it's like one person was, well, because that was in Iran and we had no control. And another person was, but he wasn't just a slave owner. I'm sorry, but the sentence stops at slave owner. They went on to try and justify all the things that he'd done for Bristol. Yeah, but the sentence stops at slave owner. And they could not see that. And we've got a hidden history over here, unfortunately, which is, it's showing itself now, and people are starting to learn and starting to listen. Whereas I think with the American history, it was so much more overt, especially in the southern states, wasn't it?
Well, it's an interesting thing that's occurring here in the UK as opposed to what's going on in America. Is that we're starting to have we're very covert here in the way that things are done, Ericka, in comparison to the States. People don't necessarily voice their opinions in the same way. For years and years and years, we've sort of lived with people kind of tight-lipped about certain things. It's only since we've gone down the route of leaving the European, what should I say, the European
Union.
The Union. Sorry, thank you. My thoughts went then. The European Union, that things have started to change and people's language have started to change. I don't know if you've noticed this as well at all, Michelle, but it has changed quite a bit since that has occurred or is occurring. And so people feel that they're able to now come out of their boxes and voice what was not necessarily heard in the same way here in the UK. It was all very covert and very, business as usual, and nothing was ever said. And it was funny because there was somebody on the radio the other day talking about how they did an experiment with two CVs, one that had the name Adam on, exactly the same CV with Mohammed on. And Adam got 5 interviews and Mohammed got 2 or 3, in comparison. But it was exactly the same job that they were going for, and it was the same CV. Nothing was changed except the name. So it's that sort of thing that we deal with here more so than, I think it's a little bit more overt in the US, but you'll have to maybe elaborate on that, Ericka.
Very, very, very similar. We deal with that within sexism, classism, racism. It's very within our, I think I've mentioned this before, in our own culture between Blacks and with outside races, that judgment. So yes, we both experience it.
Yeah. Yeah, so, but as you said, Michelle, it's funny, but it does feel slightly different, the mood of the way people are talking about the issues. Very different now than ever before. I don't know if that's the same for you, Ericka.
Yeah, I was going to ask that question. Yeah.
Oh yes. This is, I guess, for lack of better words, it was the icing on the cake.
Yeah.
The final straw.
Mm.
And what's, because I mean, so you're in Houston, aren't you? So this is where George Floyd was laid to rest last week.
Yes.
What's the mood in Houston? Is anything happening with the police department? What's the rhetoric? What are people saying?
We had some peaceful protests. We had some not so peaceful protests. We've seen our community come together. Again, it's been a lot of people being exposed here. It's a lot of people coming out in support. Local companies. One of the things that I'm seeing here locally that I would like to speak on positively are the companies that are acknowledging Juneteenth. June 19th is our Freedom Day. That was the day Black Americans found out they were free. They were no longer slaves. So it is a day that in Black America is important. That's our barbecue day, our family day. That is our 4th of July.
Yeah.
And there are companies that are now speaking out and supporting this. They're making this a paid company holiday. They're making this a day off, just like 4th of July.
Wow.
And
That's
I think
amazing.
that is absolutely amazing. I want to say some companies like Amazon and Microsoft, like large companies, Nike, this is now going to be a pay going forward. Those are the steps that we're seeing. We're seeing new laws in that, the no chokehold for Breonna Taylor.
Yeah.
Laws that should have been in place to protect us. This time is forcing those changes. It's making politicians, again, they are in the hot seat. Everyone is in the hot seat to perform. What are you going to do? Are you either for it or against it? Yeah. And right here in Houston, we're seeing that so much. Our police force, from what I can see, has been supportive of peaceful protests.
Yeah.
Right now, though, and this just started within the past 48, 72 hours, hangings.
Yeah.
Reporting as suicide.
Wow.
But we definitely are feeling differently, and 2 of them have been right here in Houston.
Yeah.
One not far from where I live, probably within 10 minutes of my home. Yeah. So that was very, very, very scary.
Did you say that, can I just interrupt? Did you say
yes,
hangings?
Lynching, yes.
You're joking. In 21st century?
Oh, yes. And I'm just speaking on the 2 here in Houston. I believe there have been a total of 8.
I've heard
that number may be a little off, but the numbers, and they've all been within this past week to 2.
Yeah.
No.
And Gwen, they're blaming them all on suicide.
No.
Yes.
And that ain't happening.
That's
was it one in front of the town hall or something, or city hall or something? Is that one of the ones in Houston?
That was one, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't aware of that. I'm really sorry. Oh my gosh.
So
that's awful.
There's something going on there, isn't there? But they're saying it's all suicide, and I don't know. I'm with you on that one. I can't see that there's going to be that.
Yeah.
Suicides. With I mean, obviously we've still got COVID doing the global rounds as well. I mean, is that affecting anything with all this, or are people, doing the protest and the socially distancing, or has that all gone out the window because this is much bigger than anything else?
Here in Texas, just yesterday, the city of Austin went back on lockdown until August 15th.
Right.
So that's letting us know, and Austin is about 2 hours from Houston.
Right.
So that's letting us know, you just let us out. We just had freedom.
Yeah.
Something triggered, the numbers spiked.
Yeah.
Boom, that city went back on lockdown.
Right.
We don't know if here in Houston that's going to trigger down to us, if that's going to trigger across America, but they're seeing spikes and some cities are taking action.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's mass gatherings though, isn't it? But I think everybody's just so incensed with, there was a Panorama, which is kind of like a news program over here, Ericka, and that was on last night. It's about a half an hour news program on the BBC, and they were talking about George Floyd. They showed the video again, and just talking about his death and the knock-on effect of what's happening in America, and how they're saying, you know, the mood has changed. Everybody's rightly, justifiably angry, but we've never got to the point where police forces are being disbanded before.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah, it was absolutely horrendous to actually just sit there and watch that. And it's like, yeah,
I think
don't care what the guy did.
mm-hmm. Yes.
Oh, horrible.
Well, our mothers often used to say there's always some good that comes out of bad.
Yeah.
So we can only but hope and hope that some good will come out of this.
Moving on into the, obviously we're wedding celebrants and officiants, so I mean it's moving on, and the good that's coming from the bad within our industry. Is there anything that you think that we should be doing or can be doing, or you think is happening that is making a shift within our own industry for us as women of colour?
Not for me personally, other than do a job well, as I would do for anybody, regardless of their religion, their colour, their creed, their ethnicity. You know, it doesn't really matter. You know, you just want to do the job really well and make sure that the couple are happy and the families and guests are really happy, or attendees at funeral. You just want to make sure that you do the best that you possibly can on any given day. Other than that, I don't think it's a question of anything else, to be honest. You're a professional and you want to do your best job all the time. That's my view.
About you, Ericka?
I would have to agree with that. Right now, it's important to establish who you are. Some people don't feel that they need to say anything now. When I saw what was happening in my own community, I felt it was my time and my place to actually speak what was on my mind. You know, with posts and comments on Facebook and Instagram. And that allowed me to meet new people right in my industry that were like, wow, you were very articulate. You weren't trying to bash anyone. You were just offering information. And for that, I've received quite a few referrals from people right here in my own industry, new couples. And that's exciting for me in a city that I'm not so familiar with here in Houston, to have people recognize you as your peers. Yeah. It's awesome, as Gwen said, to be professional, to impress your couples and families for the services you provide. But when what you do speaks to your peers as well, I believe that brings a significance as well.
I think that's the icing on the cake, to get the accolade from your peers. Yeah. Ericka, I think, you know, to obviously do well for your clients. They don't know you, but your peers, they've been around the block, they've seen a few things along the way, and to get their accolade, I think is substantive.
Yes.
Do you see yourselves as role models, ladies?
I do. I all the time I step out. Every day I step out, I see myself as a role model to young people coming up, who've not really even thought about this work as a career or as a job or anything. I think I'm a role model to them, but also to other people who think, well, she can do it. I think I could do this job as well. I know it makes it harder for us as far as competition is concerned, but there's a lot of plumbers out there, and there's a lot of electricians, and they all got work. So
yeah, a lot of people getting married.
you can't be everything to all people.
No,
You just got to find your own little niche.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. See, because Ericka can come and visit us over here, and she can do a ceremony over here with absolutely no problems, apart from the fact it's not legal. But hey,
Exactly.
it doesn't stop you coming and doing one.
Oh.
So when you come to visit us and come over to London and come and see me,
yes,
we'll set you up with the ceremony.
Yes.
Well, I hope when you come to London, Ericka, we would meet up, or we can gather with Michelle as well.
Didn't you hear, Michelle? You have to put me up and show me your city.
Yeah. Yeah, she's got so many trips organised all around the world. I think we're last on the list, but we're with the best.
Exactly.
Yeah, she's sorted. She don't need no accommodation paying for. It'd be cool. But yeah, no, I think we're role models. As a woman of a certain age as well, I'm in my early 50s, and I think you're not dissimilar kind of age to me, Gwen. I know Ericka's a young puppy, so she's spring chicken. Yeah. I know that, but women of a certain age and women of colour, solo, entrepreneurs. I think there's so many categories that we fit into, and we're leading the way for the next generation of celebrants and officiants, and just showing them, we're not going to be everything to all people, but we are leading the way in how to do this job. How to do this job, how to have all these connections and succeed in life.
And also, the whole reason why we do this piece of work is because we enjoy meeting people. We enjoy being a part of somebody's special day. We enjoy that aspect, or else we wouldn't do this work.
Yeah.
And so we get there's a lot of pluses for us out of it.
Yeah.
So yeah. What can I say?
Yeah, no, we're rocking it. That's all I can
say.
Yeah. I think I've long admired you, Gwen, from when we met all those years ago, and Ericka's been a new addition into my, into my friend zone, and it's kind of like, it's a brilliant addition because I've just lived vicariously through her and seen.
And I through you.
The nails.
You see, as three individuals, we're so different in the way that our style is, the way that our delivery is, and everything else like that. And that's what makes us so unique in everything that we do, because we're gonna be, important for particular families just because of who we are.
Yeah.
And the way that we do things. We're not like a little cookie cutter and then basically all stamped out the same. And what you would get to find in a church, for instance, a minister is a minister, and would they all do it differently as well, just like us celebrants and officiants. We're all going to be different, and we will, be beneficial to the couples that come to us who want our style.
Absolutely. Well, ladies, what can I say other than thank you? Thank you for being you. Thank you for joining me today and being part of this conversation. I know sometimes it's upsetting to look back at the events of the last few weeks, but I think we can all look forward to the future being a little bit brighter. Not just because we're in the world, because it's obviously going to be bright because we're here anyway, but a little bit brighter for those that follow us, and hopefully making our path a little bit smoother as well. So yeah, anyway, ladies, thank you so much for joining me. It's been a pleasure actually catching up with you both today, and I can't wait to speak to you again. And let's get together in in a few weeks, few months time, and see how much has really changed, and where the world is going for us all. But yeah, for today, anyway, thank you very much, and take
Thanks,
care.
Michelle. Thanks, Ericka.
Thank you so much for having me.
Bye. I feel very lucky to have met these two amazing humans and to get to work with them within the wedding industry. So to get hold of Ericka, you need to find her at expertiseservicesandweddings.com, and for Gwen, you can find her at uniqueceremonies.co.uk, and that does incorporate her Celebrate a Life ceremonies as well. Join me again soon. Can't wait to talk to more people within the wedding industry about life, love, the universe, and anything else that takes our fancy. Thanks for joining me. Bye.